So Makoto Shinkai is a very famous Japanese director. His work really became known by the whole world when Your Name came out, Kimi no Wa, and I still hear Radwimps everywhere from that movie. I personally found Makoto Shinkai from 5 centimeters per second. I was also watching with a guy that I liked, but then we ended up not even finishing the movie.
Huge disclaimer, I actually watched most of these movies a couple of years ago, so my memory of them aren't the freshest. I just wanted to make this video for fun anyways, so...
In 1999, he released a 5-minute monochrome film called She and Her Cat. So this was like his, I guess, big break in animation. She and Her Cat is actually a story in the perspective of an adopted cat and its life with its owner. Although they both live side by side, they also live in different worlds that are far apart.
She and Her Cat was his first big break. He did have previous short films in the past, but they were practice one. This one was entered in a competition which he won, which was really cool, and it's what got him started really with animation. In my opinion, this film is very much like a animatic than an animation because it is mostly stills. Doesn't really have that many movement. It's a lot of special effects and stuff like that, and it really does show how amazing Makoto Shinkai is at creating background art, and I think that's his strength is the background art. In my opinion, I think Shinkai's weakness was people, maybe faces, and you kind of do see the difference in skill level with his backgrounds versus his characters in his future films until 5 centimeters per second. I don't know. So we will be putting She and Her Cat, I would say, in B. I don't know.
He drew a picture of a girl in a cockpit holding a cell phone, and that's how his next film, Voices of a Distant Star, began. And it came out in 2002. Futuristic story that takes place in 2046. So in 20 years, this story will become real, I guess. That follows the story of a couple, Noboru and Mikako, who was just about to graduate junior high, but was separated due to an alien attack on humanity. Mikako was selected to join the military to fight against the aliens, while Noboru stayed on Earth. While separated, they continued to keep in touch by sending each other emails on their cell phones. But the time it takes for each of them to receive the message grows as their physical distance apart grows planets apart.
Especially in Makoto Shinkai's earlier works, a lot of his works are very poetic. For me, I really like action. I really like seeing things move. So if you're really into poetry and really deep stuff, a lot of his earlier works are for you. But for me, it was not for me. I was I don't really know what's happening. Not the biggest fan of this one. I didn't really like it. I think it's only 30 minutes. I did watch it a while ago. It was really hard to get through. Longest 30 minutes of my life. I'm not gonna lie.
He explains long distance relationships a lot, actually. Your Name explores this. 5 centimeters per second explores this. Who heard Shinkai? In 2004, Shinkai made the film The Place Promised in Our Early Days, which also won many awards. It is a story about school friends and a dream. Hiroki, Takuya, and Sayuri have a dream of reaching the top of an extremely tall, abandoned skyscraper. Together, they construct an airplane named Bella Ciela. They promise each other that one day they will fly to the top of the tower, until one day, Japan experiences a conflict located at the base of the tower. Suddenly, Sayuri disappears due to a sleeping disorder that left her in a coma, leaving Hiroki and Takuya in the dark about her whereabouts for 3 whole years. See, the separation part of it. They later learn about her condition and discover her disorder is also linked to the same tower that they promised to reach together.
I did like this film a lot better than the previous one, Voices of a Distant Star, because it kind of made me feel like I was back in school when when you have friends and then you just meet up to hang out. Friendship. They have this dream to make this plane, to fly this plane to this big ass tower in the middle of nowhere, and later in the film, it helps them save the world. A lot of the scientific stuff was really confusing for me, but overall it was a really pretty film. Again, you do see his direction of the characters and the body movement kind of improve a lot more in this film. For me, I would go with the C for this one.
In 2007, he came out with 5 centimeters per second, which was a film of 3 short films. So this is This is how I got here. 5 centimeters per second follows the relationship of Takaki and Akari, who was childhood friends, but due to unfortunate circumstances were separated. They stay in contact, but as time goes on, they grow as people, but the relationship is stuck in the past, being unable to create new memories and progress. It is a tragic story about the harsh realities of a long-distance relationship.
And I think 5 centimeters per second is what really put him on the map during that time. Before Your Name even came out, everyone was talking about 5 centimeters per second. They're like, oh my god, this movie made me cry. You gotta watch it. It's so sad. This is another one that's very poetic. 5 centimeters per second. You know, we're kind of leaning more into like the Your Name aesthetic a lot more in this one. I would put 5 centimeters per second here, personally. I'm sorry.
He started working on his next project in 2009, Children Who Chase Lost Voices from Deep Below. While being faced with the boring day-to-day tasks of the real world, a young student named Asna escapes her worries by listening to music from her old crystal radio in her secret mountain hideout. She one day hears a somber song from her radio and suddenly is saved by a boy named Shun after almost being attacked by a dangerous monster. Asna then goes on a journey in a mystical land that she's never seen before. Suddenly, her boring life filled with day-to-day tasks becomes something straight out of a movie.
This one, I, for some reason, barely have any memory of. I think kind of tried to go to this like fantasy route. I guess it was kind of like Ghibli vibes. Like I just don't remember much about this one. I'm gonna put it here. Maybe here. Yeah, it was pretty. I don't remember.
And after Children Who Chase Lost Voices came Garden of Words in 2013. Garden of Words was really like the start of like the Shinkai that we know today. I feel like this is when he really got his style down, and the rain, bro, the water, the rain, all of that. So Garden of Words is about a boy named Takako who meets Yukari, who is a mysterious woman after skipping class to sketch shoe designs in a garden on a rainy day. He's an aspiring shoemaker and offers to make her shoes. Through the raining season, they continue to meet each other and end up lightly healing their troubled minds just by being in each other's presence. As the end of the raining season comes to an end, they also realize their struggles are still there and come to terms with what their relationship is.
Garden of the Words was another really iconic one. I think the story was like, okay, these last 4 movies is like what you see on like freaking anime aesthetic accounts, and then they put like a caption, it's just like, I loved you since the day we met. Or like, you know, like lo-fi music videos, and they have like anime aesthetic with like that filter on and then raining and stuff, and it's like a sad lo-fi song. Yeah, like these 4 movies coming up, all from there. Garden of Words, kind of iconic. I always like hear stuff about it to this day. I would say it would go B, but ahead of She and Her Cat.
After Garden of Words came Your Name. Is a highly praised film and also became the 5th highest grossing film of all time in Japan. In 2019, it became the highest grossing anime film of all time, surpassing Spirited Away by Miyazaki. I think it's really cool because like back in university, he really like went back to his inner child roots and was like, oh yeah, anime and manga, I really love Miyazaki's work. Castle of Cagliostro, Nausicaa Valley Wind, all by Miyazaki, and now, literally like 20 years later almost, his own movie surpassed Miyazaki, which was someone he really looked up to. Your Name follows a girl named Mitsuha and a boy named Taki. They both live very opposite lives, Mitsuha living in the countryside and Taki in the big city. One day, Mitsuha sleeps and dreams that she is a boy living as a student in the city, as well as Taki dreams that he is living as a teenage girl in a rural town. By leaving notes for each other in the dream, they realize they actually have been swapping bodies in real life. Through this communication, they both work together to deal with this strange occurrence and learn more about each other as they discover why fate has connected them.
Your Name is what really put Shinkai out there, you know what I mean? Got the character design down, he got the art down, he got the story down, but he also got the music down. The music in this movie was so freaking good. I saw Radwimps live in Toronto like a few months ago. So good. I think what sets Your Name apart is the music from all his other films, even Weathering With You or like Susie May. For me personally, like I wouldn't watch it for like a few years, and then I'm like, yeah, like Your Name wasn't even that good. And then I watch it again and I'm like, wait, the music just makes it so good. The music literally put it up there, you know? It kind of reminds me of like, you know how like Tarzan has like such an amazing soundtrack? It was because a band made music for the movie. And I feel like it made the movie kind of timeless as well. The only thing that was lacking in this movie was the connection. It was connection, but there wasn't connection. You know what I mean? Your Name is so iconic. I'm gonna have to put it at S. So after Your Name came out, Weathering with You came out in 2019. Weathering with You takes place in a world where Tokyo experiences non-stop rain, and where a runaway student named Hadoka and a young orphan named Hina lives. They both find work to sustain themselves in the fast-paced city. Just then, they discover Hina has the power to call the sun whenever she prays for it. They started a business and called her Sunshine Girl, where she clears the sky and calls for the sun as a service for people that need it. Their business becomes a hit, but the strange power also has its consequences. I don't know what it was. I think it was literally so stunning. The music again, Radwim's phenomenal job. I'm glad that like he sang again. But I think what lacked in this was like maybe like the story aspect towards the ending. Got like weird. At the end it kind of felt weird because it wasn't like, you didn't really feel a sense of justice. Not everyone wins in the story. I don't know, tell me what you guys thought about it. I know a lot of people really liked Weathering with You and it was their favorite, but I don't know, something just lacked in the story for me. Maybe it just didn't really feel like fulfilling. I will put Weathering with You at A tier. And now we are in the present. The next film is Susie May, and he has done like a whole world tour. Like Makoto Shinkai literally went all over the world except for Toronto, Canada. Excuse me? Like, why didn't he come here? The chair itself is a character. It was really cute. He like brought the chair everywhere, and it was so funny because like he even brought it like as a carry-on on the plane, and then it had to go through security. So like you just see the chair in like the little bin. I think Makoto Shinkai is such a cool guy. It is a story about a 17-year-old girl named Susie May. She bumps into a traveling young man who is looking for a door. She follows the man into the mountains, and they find a worn, lone standing door amongst the ruins. Susie May opens the door, and it causes doors all over Japan to open, and it releases chaos. It is Susie May's job to close the doors once again. I think Susie May was really phenomenal. I really liked the bookend in it. I think the best written out of all of them. I think it was cool that it's kind of like different from, you know, Your Name and Weathering with You, because Susie May, she wasn't born with like a power. It was more like she stumbled upon the door, and then the door like gave her like the power to see these things. But it was like the male lead this time who had the power and the job to save the world, and she just like happened to like help him out with it. Although like this wasn't like as romantic as the other ones, I think overall as a movie it was like really entertaining. It was more like about saving the world. I think it was really fun. I think what would put Suzume in very first place is if we had the same music aspect. I understand that, you know, like if they had every single movie have, you know, Radwimp singing in it, it would get boring, right? I get it. But like, I don't know, Your Name, the music just hit harder. And I do believe like, you know, with this one, they kind of just went with like the music score route. Like Radwimp did like the music score without like the singing. They got someone else to sing. But like, I don't know what it is. It's just the music didn't hit as hard. But it was still phenomenal. So yeah, I would put Suzume in S tier behind Your Name. I think this would be my list. I'm kind of confident with this list. I hope people don't tear me to shreds in the comments, but you know, this is my opinion. For yourself, like I think you should watch all his movies, and a lot of people I think kind of look up to his art, and I think it's really fun to see earlier works of these like really talented people, and their earlier works aren't always going to be like the most amazing things. Versus like now, like even now, like there's still things that they want to work on, but like seeing how they like started off, like, you know, Shinkai is a fan of Miyazaki, starting off with like short films, you know, like his older films compared to now, you could see how much he's grown, and like, you know, anyone can really like start from where they are, and like, you know, if you put the work, if you spend time on your craft, I think you can like literally do anything. You can do anything. If Shinkai can do it, you can do it. If Miyazaki can do it, you can do it. I love seeing the growth over time. I highly recommend you guys check out the stories on your own. You know, maybe you actually do like the whole poetic vibe of his earlier films, or maybe you actually realize you don't really like his older films and like to stick with his newer ones, or maybe you like his older ones than his newer ones. Anyways, that is all for today. I highly recommend you guys see Suzume. Thank you guys so much for watching. Check out my other anime reviews and stuff like that, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.